Hi, Lapis here again. Steven gave me a book that had even more stories, and this one actually had a story about a water spirit. Since I'm a water gem, I thought, hey, why not read another story? So, hopefully you all like this one. It's called The Water Spirit's Gift. Long ago, there were no horses in North America. The people there had never even seen a horse. Tribal chiefs didn't ride proudly across the prairie, and hunters didn't gallop through the countryside, chasing buffalo. When people moved from camp to camp, they struggled with their heavy packs, and their bodies never seemed to stop hurting. At that time, there lived a boy named Cake. He had a big heart and yearned for a better life. All he could remember were long, harsh winters which seemed as if they would never end. Even the coming of spring didn't help much. The buffalo were still very hard to find. One night, the elders of the tribes sat around the campfire worrying. "Another day, another disappointment," muttered one. "How are we supposed to catch the buffalo when they can run twice as fast as us?" "I don't know how we'll survive if the spirits send us another bad winter," grumbled another. Just beyond the line of the fire hid a Cake. Listening to every word, his heart ached for his tribe. He tried to trust the spirits, but it was hard. "Something must be done," he said to himself, "and I will be the one to do it." A Cake crept to his teepee and gathered up a spare pair of moccasins and a raccoon fur cap. Then he slipped away across the prairie as silently as if he were stalking a rabbit, until the glow of the campfire was lost in the darkness behind him. A Cake kept wandering through the night and on into the next day. He walked to the edge of the prairie and beyond, through hills rustling with sweet grasses. He listened hard in case the spirits were trying to talk to him. Surely they would give him a sign soon. It was getting dark again when a Cake stumbled down the side of a hill and saw something shimmering in front of him. It was the Great Lake. The water stretched as far as he could see. It could have been the end of the earth for all a Cake had a chance of crossing it. He had come so far, and now he could go no further. In despair, he slumped to the ground and began to cry. All around the lake, animals stopped what they were doing and pricked up their ears to hear the strange sound. They had heard their own babies crying, but they had never seen or heard a boy cry before. Together they went to investigate. The wolf crept, the eagle swooped, the bear ambled, and the otter poked her head above the water to see what was going on. The animals weren't the only one who heard a Cake sobbing. In the middle of the Great Lake lived the water spirit, who was old and very powerful. "What is that noise?" Water Spirit asked his son Tashukna. "Go and find out for me." Tashukna sped across towards the shore, his feet gliding across the water. "What's the matter?" he asked kindly when he found a Cake sitting on the bank. The Cake didn't raise his head. "I've been walking all day and night," he sobbed. "I wanted to do something to help my tribe, and I failed." Tashukna put a cool hand on a Cake's back. "Don't cry," he said. "My father can help you. He lives in the middle of the lake." Now Cake glanced up and gasped. The boy standing above him looked like no one he had ever seen before. The boy's hair was as slick as otter's fur, and his body glistened as if it was covered in scales. "My father is the water spirit," Tashukna continued. "He owns all of the animals that live in the lake and around it. He might offer to give you one to help your tribe." A Cake's mind worked fast. Which animal should he ask for? The eagle, who could fly ahead of the hunt and let the hunters know where the buffalo were grazing? Or the wolf, who could run for miles and catch rabbits for them to eat? But Tashukna hadn't finished. "If my father offers," he said seriously, "he must ask for the oldest duck in the lake." A Cake was confused. Why would he ask for an old duck when there were so many other animals? But if this boy really was the water spirit's son, a Cake knew he should trust him. "How am I going to get to the middle of the lake?" he asked. "I can't swim." Tashukna smiled. Hold on to my shoulders and close your eyes. Cake held on to the boy's shoulders, his eyes tightly shut. Again, Tashukna ran across the surface of the lake. Cake whizzed behind him, his toes barely touching the water. In the middle of the lake, Tashukna held tightly to Cake's hand and plunged into the water. As they dived down together through the glistening water, Cake discovered with astonishment that he could breathe underwater. He held tightly to Tashukna, hoping that the magic would last long enough for him to meet the water spirit. Tashukna led him to a huge teepee, green as seaweed and strung all over with pearls. Inside sat Water Spirit. Cake noticed the shimmer of his skin and the bow and arrow slung over his shoulder made from delicate fishbone. Why are you here? Water Spirit asked, his loud voice echoing around the bed of the lake. I want to help my tribe, Cake said bravely. However hard we work, our lives never get any better. Water Spirit blew bubbles thoughtfully. Then, just as his son predicted, he made Cake an offer. I'll give you one of the animals who live in or around the lake. Just take your pick. Cake remembered Tashukna's advice, said, I'd like the oldest duck you have. Water Spirit chuckled. Are you sure? Why not the otter? He can catch enough fish to feed you all like kings every day. That old duck isn't worth a thing. The otter did sound good. But Cake shook his head. The oldest duck, please, he repeated firmly. As you wish, replied the spirit. You are wise beyond your years. My son will take you back to the edge of the lake and give you that old duck. But when you leave to return to your tribe, you mustn't look back until daylight. Cake and Tashukna sped back to the shore. There, on her nest, was the old duck. Half of her feathers had fallen out, and the rest were scruffy and tattered. Cake started to wonder if he'd made the right choice. But it was too late now. Tashukna braided together marsh reeds to make a rope and tied it around the duck's neck. Remember, he warned as he handed Cake the rope, don't look back until daylight. Cake set off towards home, the old duck waddling back behind him. His head was spinning with everything that had just happened. It was still dark when he reached the prairie again. Then he felt a sudden tug on the rope. He had to grip hard to stop it from slipping through his fingers. And as he gripped, he saw the rope change in his hands. What had once been marsh reeds had turned into thicker leather. Cake stared at the rope in his hands in shock. He ached to look back to see what was going on, but he resisted. The water spirit's warning had to be obeyed. He even managed to stop himself from turning back when the soft padding of the duck's feet and the swish of her feathers had changed into something completely different, like elk's hooves on baked earth. But that wasn't all. The old duck was making strange snorting noises. The noises got louder and louder until thudding hooves and loud snorting filled the entire prairie. In the east, the sun peeked over the horizon, but still Cake did not look back. He didn't want to risk breaking the water spirit's spell. The camp was just visible in the distance when the sun broke free of the land. It was definitely daylight now. Finally, Cake turned around. There, in the sunlight, stood a magnificent creature. She had 4 legs like an elk, dark eyes like an otter, and a smooth coat like a hare. But she was taller than a man. Her back looked as strong as a buffalo's, and her legs were long and agile. She pawed the ground with shining hooves and shook out her long mane. Cake gazed at her in complete wonder. Her dark brown eyes met his, and she took a shy step forward. Cake took a step forward too, his legs shaking right down to his moccasins. Slowly they approached each other, until they were close enough for her to nuzzle his neck with her soft velvety nose. So entranced had Cake been with the gentle creature in front of him, that he only then looked around for the first time. An entire herd of the amazing creatures was standing on the prairie. These were the first horses in North America. Gently, Cake began to lead his horse toward the camp. With a toss of her head, she gestured for the others to follow behind. Look! It's a Cake! Someone yelled from the camp. But what in the name of the spirits are those? Very gradually, the members of the tribe came to the prairie. They stared in wonder at Cake and his horses. They had never seen anything like it. Water Spirit has helped us. Our problems are over, said a Cake proudly. Look how strong they are, and I bet they're quick too. You could catch a buffalo easy riding one of those. Everyone's eyes shone with delight as they got to know their new companions. The horses seemed so calm and friendly. One man approached the horse nearest to him and lifted his little daughter up onto its back, where she sat waving and laughing with joy. From then on, the tribe and their horses lived happily side by side. Some nights, a Cake sat by the fire, singing and laughing with the rest of the tribe. One day, he would become chief, and his adventures with Tashukna and the Water Spirit would be just one of many. But that was the future. For now, his big heart was happy, and he was at peace.